We also have some Coral Pro salt. I just put it down earlier because it's big. Now, I just want to mention a little bit about my history with Red Sea salt. I think I first started using the Red Sea salt sometime in the late 90s, and I noticed that there wasn't that many salts available on the market at the time. And a lot of them were really chemically and very dry and kind of caustic. When you stuck your hand in it, it kind of burned. When you opened up the bag, it kind of burned your nose. What I noticed about the Red Sea salt is when I opened the bag, it smelled almost sweet. And so I don't know if that's a artifact of how you produce it or what it's made of, but what is it about Coral Pro salt that's different?
First of all, when you want to develop a salt mix, you need to bear in mind a few things. First of all, you need to understand the biogeochemistry of corals. Which element should be in your salt, okay? You should also understand which elements are necessary for other animals in the system. Second, you need to find out with what raw materials you want to use and what are the qualities of the raw materials. The third thing is you need to know how to mix everything together in a combination that the moment you put it in water, it will not precipitate. Okay. One of the unique things with Coral Pro is, first of all, the source of raw material. The major component in any salt is the sodium chloride. Okay. Our sodium chloride is harvested from the Red Sea. In a unique process that we develop, okay, we managed to find the exact point in the process of the sodium chloride production where we can keep all the trace element on the sodium chloride crystal in the direct proportion that they are found in the Red Sea water.
So your tagline is the living reef harvested in every grain. What exactly does that mean?
It means that in each grain of the salt, you will have the exact proportion of trace element, okay, that are found in the Red Sea. We also put other substances in the formulation, okay, like the calcium, the magnesium, potassium, and some of the minor and some trace element. But eventually, you'll get the most homogenized mixture I think you can find on the market. In most of our elements, you have plus minus 2% deviation, which is almost pharmaceutical grade. This is our goal, to give you the most balanced and homogenized mixture.
So one thing that I have noticed about the Red Sea chemistry and nutritional philosophy is a very big emphasis on ratios and keeping things in strong proportions. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that means for the Coral Pro salt and what you describe as coral biogeochemistry?
First of all, we need to understand that if we break the proportion, let's talk about the foundation element, the calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity. Everybody knows that corals need calcium and bicarbonate, okay, in order to build the aragonite. There are two forms, and this also relates to biogeochemistry. When you take calcium and carbonate, there are two major forms in nature, calcite and aragonite, okay? In order for the corals to create, let's say, or to extract calcite, it is less energetic. Okay, the formation of calcite, it's very easy. It happens very rapidly when you increase the pH. In order to form
I know what you're trying to say. Calcite is a little bit more of a precipitate, and aragonite is more of a crystal.
Yes. And in order to create the formation of aragonite, you need the exact ratio of strontium and magnesium and barium to create the 3-dimension of aragonite crystal. Okay, if you don't keep this balance, probably the coral will secrete calcite. Okay, and then you'll see that your coral skeleton is very fragile. Okay. Second thing, you need to keep the proportion in order to keep alkalinity, high alkalinity. If you don't have enough magnesium, all bicarbonate and carbonate will precipitate together with the calcium, especially where you are close to saturation.
So I dive a lot, and I see a lot of great reef tanks, and I have noticed that sometimes people grow corals really fast, but the shape is not right. They're missing the texture. Yes, you are technically growing the coral, but you're not really growing it naturally. It doesn't look great, and I'm all about the ratios to make sure the corals look good. In the last few years, there's been an explosion of different reef salts available from just about every type of aquarium company. I think it's just a matter of time before the dog food company comes out with some salt. So what is it about Coral Pro that is still different today? With so many salts coming out, what's unique about Coral Pro?
I think that there aren't many, if any, formula on the market that give you the exact proportion of high elevated levels of calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. I've seen some of the other brands. Some of them will give you only high magnesium or high calcium and low alkalinity. Okay, there is a method, okay, that you need to learn how to put everything together in the high proportion. Because if you take the amount of calcium and the amount of bicarbonate and the magnesium, and you try to pull them together, all together as supplements at the same time, you'll get rapid precipitation of calcite. Okay? Now, we need to provide a formula that will not precipitate immediately. Okay? Give the exact proportion of bicarbonate to the calcium and the magnesium. We do not elevate our alkalinity with boric acid or just boron compounds. You get high carbonate alkalinity, high calcium without precipitation. And this is what's unique in Coral Pro. You can mix it, and after half an hour, you are ready to go.
So that's another thing that I've noticed as a lot of companies are trying to pitch their salts as being enriched and having these excessive levels higher than natural seawater of calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity. So there's a common thread in the philosophy of Red Sea's food, Red Sea salts, Red Sea's chemistry, and it's all about ratios, right? And so that carries through into the Coral Pro salt. Do you have any tips for people who are using this salt for the first time compared to some others?
Yes, of course. First thing to do is, because of the high elevated levels of calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium, you need to understand that when you mix the salt, first of all, I know it might be very simple. You add the salt to the water. Do not...
Actually, let's say that again. You add the salt to the water.
Yes.
You never add the water to the salt.
Because you'll get a solution with very saturated amounts of calcium and alkalinity, and they will precipitate. Furthermore, when you increase, a rapid precipitation occurs when the temperature rises above 24 degrees. So if you mix your salt, okay, try to mix it with a temperature between 20 to 23 degrees is enough, and only after it dissolves, increase the temperature to the level that you want. Third thing is, all the time test your water before you add them to the aquarium. We try to guarantee every batch goes through quality control tests. We do use the most sophisticated equipment like ICP and all the automatic titration, and every batch is measured at least twice before it's being released. But sometimes, due to the shipment, there is stratification of the salt. So first thing to do is shake a little bit the bucket, okay? The second thing is, after you mix it, measure the salinity precisely. Use a good refractometer or conductivity meter. It is very important.
So since the dawn of seawater mixes, since the early days of instant ocean, consistency and homogeneous mixes has been the name of the game. It is possible to get all of the elements into one bucket or one bag, but through transport, they will settle out with the coarse materials on top and the fine materials on the bottom. So if you're only mixing a part of a batch, you really want to mix up your bag, mix up your bucket before you add it to your vat.
Yes, but I'm not saying that you'll have all the calcium in the top and the magnesium at the bottom. You might have slightly higher differentiation up to, let's say, 3 to 4% and not the 2% that we guarantee. Okay, just to make things clear.
Okay, I think you're splitting hairs, but that's because you're a scientist. But the other really important point I want to bring out is that when it comes to keeping corals in an aquarium, marine life in an aquarium, the three most important things are water, salinity, and temperature. But salinity and temperature are the most overlooked parameters of our aquariums, and especially when it comes to salinity. A lot of people measure salinity by measuring specific gravity, which gets them into trouble. A lot of people will think they've mixed up their salt mix to a certain salinity, find that the salt is low, add extra salt, but in fact, they just didn't have enough salt mix to reach that proper salinity. And you guys have a really good refractometer in the market. I think it's the only one developed for seawater use in aquariums at a tropical temperature. Is that correct?
Yes. What we worked a lot is to find the proper refraction index for seawater, okay, and not the brine or sodium chloride.
So just to recap, most refractometers are made for brine, which is a mixture of purely sodium chloride. It doesn't include anything else. So seawater and saltwater are not the same thing, and this is really important when it comes to testing our water.
Yes. And what we worked on is, first of all, we have the Red Sea near our facility, so I have the vast amount of water to test. Second, we prepare salt mix, so I can just adjust the proper refraction index to measure seawater and our salt to the level that give you a precise measurement. I also have all the other instrument, very high and sophisticated conductivity meters, specific refractometers, okay, that help me to develop the precise refractometer, a true seawater at 25 degrees.
So the point is, if you're not sure that you're measuring salinity very accurately, you're probably not, and you need to spend more time and energy and effort making sure that you're accurately measuring salinity.